There we go. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday.
What's cracking? What's up with it? Damn.
Man, we got good people pulling up. I know Gina just won't be on today. Hope she feels better. I know she had to going through some recovery stuff with, I think, foot surgery. So there's that. Um,
Right.
then of course, shout out to Unc, man. Hope everything's okay or will be okay with the family. But
Facts.
in the meantime, you got Rod in the building, of course, yours truly as well. Rod, I know you've
Yes,
had an
sir.
interesting day because, well, your Lakers have been in the news. Obviously, JJ Redick being named head coach. How you feel about that?
I'm actually cool with it. It's not a surprise to me. It hasn't been a surprise. We knew this for some months now. They threw the little smoke screen in front of us with Hurley. We saw that. It was just smoke screen. It is what it is. Low ball to do, bad in my expression, but it is what it is. All you can do is go by what we got right now. So if JJ Redick is the coach, all right, let's get with it.
I mean,
We'll see how long he lasts.
right. I mean,
Pause.
the thing too was just like, hey, yo. I mean, the thing with it for me, right? It's just like obviously the dude knows his X's and O's. And of course, he's young enough where he's gonna relate to, some of these younger players or even just like some of the older players, right? Because I think what he and Braun aren't they like the same age, something like that. Um, so
Learn something. If
I,
that
I
is the truth,
it's like
that's what's
right
up.
around there, yeah. So I remember JJ would talk about like AAU stuff, and like playing with LeBron or whatever. So I mean, obviously he knows X's and O's. Like I said, younger guy, and like honestly, like I know everyone thinks about with the Lakers or like playing with LeBron. It's like, well, you're the coach. You're in a lose-lose situation. I finally feel like this is one of the first times for a coach. It's like you're not even in a lose-lose situation. If you win, great. If you don't, honestly, I say it's Jeannie and Rob that look bad because it's like, why in the world is this guy with no coaching experience being the head coach of the Lakers? You know what I'm saying? Like that's how this whole thing looks like to me.
I agree with you. You ain't saying nothing but the truth. It is the facts. Uh, until LeBron leaves, and I keep saying this, until we have a LeBron-less squad, it'll keep carrying over for this type of regime for who knows how long. So it is what it is right now. I can't be mad because what's the point? I can't change shit. So
I feel it. I feel it. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying though. I still think it's even after LeBron retires or leaves because as long as then you got Anthony Davis, like we talked about this a few weeks ago. If you have Anthony
yep,
Davis, you're not going to rebuild.
yep, nope.
So no, we'll see
That
how
was
it
the whole
goes. I
reason
mean,
why I said it. That's why I said it, and I've been saying it in our groups for the last year and a half. Just just let us rebuild because I saw this coming down the road where we're in a lose-lose situation.
mm,
Because now you have LeBron, of course, in his mindset, all I want to do is win the championship. I hear it. Sounds good. You know what I mean? But realistically, everything has to fall right.
yeah,
I just don't I just don't see that for his career anymore. It's just after you get towards a certain point in your life and your career, now this man's about to go into his 40s. Still top level, doing it better than we've ever seen anybody ever do it before. Now it just makes me go, all right, now what is the point?
hmm
You got the overall scoring record. Championships really aren't it now because you're not just we're just one trade away. Eh, are we? You know what I'm saying? We still need a couple more pieces, and I don't know. I don't know. It's all about that
that's good.
relevancy. What's good, Unc? Salute to moms. Hopefully she's resting well and everything, and speedy recovery to her as well as Gina too.
Yeah,
Speedy recovery to y'all. But I just I don't know. I don't know what the serious plan is. And then Anthony Davis, oh, now you want to get in. My thing is, and I don't know if it's too late, but what's wrong with going to go get bottom, Dwight Howard? What's wrong with getting him now? I mean, we all know what he does. It is what it is.
It's
But
also what
why
you
not
need.
have that? Exactly. Like, you want to take pressure off of Anthony Davis. We should have never got rid of him. But I don't know. I just, for the life of me,
I
don't
agree.
get it.
No, I agree with you. I mean, that was always an interesting one to me. And now, of course, like if someone wants to say, well, now he's too old, it's like, all right, I hear you. But I like the way I look at it, right, for the Lakers, especially this LeBron situation. And I know I can't really say for certain they would have won a championship, but obviously they won the bubble one in 2020. I still think that they would have had a good run for one in 2019, right before if Bron didn't get that ankle injury, right? Because it was like later on in the year, got hurt playing against the Hawks. Solomon Hill rolled up into him. Because that team was legit and like pretty. It was a pretty deep roster too, if I remember correctly. So I just feel like to your point or to your question of like what really matters, like what's that point? I still do think like if he could tie with at least with Kobe for 5, right, and get the 5th ring. I feel like that's part of that motivation still for him. If I had to guess.
I'm not denying that. And I think you're right. That could be a motivation, or his other motivation could be I'm one more than Steph.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
that's true.
saying?
Yeah,
For this generational portion. You
right.
know what I'm saying? I can see it in that aspect where he can just say enough is enough. Now I'm over everybody in this generation, as well as I'm tied for the last portion of that generation, with Kobe. So it's like I can see it both ways, that type of style. But my thing is this though. Why do we say Dwight Howard is too, and I'm not saying you were saying it, but why do people say he's too old when we really don't know what technically too old for this game is now, because the game
Mm,
has changed so much. So if you are to bring the old school version of the game back where you got two big men and you can play the game that way, I think Dwight Howard can succeed right now.
at least
You
off
need a
the bench.
rebounder.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Rebound and block shots. You know exactly what you want out of Dwight Howard. You're not worried about him going in there giving you 20 points a game anymore. Like that's
yeah.
you're not even asking that, from him anymore. So why can't that be done now? He can be physical with Jokic. He did it in the bubble. He's said it countless times like, yo, I would love that opportunity, but
Hmm.
teams don't want to give him that opportunity. He's like,
Right.
y'all just need to be physical with him, but nobody wants to do that. It, he has won, in that time span, but now I'm like, I don't know, man. I really don't know anymore.
It's just interesting to see what the Lakers are gonna do in the off season because I mean, obviously, anytime a star's name is out there, the Lakers are linked. That's how it goes.
No matter what.
Um, no matter what. I mean, I know obviously Trae Young's been talked about. Like if we're gonna trade him, DeMar DeRozan is apparently going to be a free agent, so he's going to be linked there since he's from there. Like it's going to be an interesting
Paul
offseason, but
George and sign
also
and trade.
yeah, Paul George, of course, has been like I've heard y'all, I've heard Philly, I've heard Golden State, maybe. Also, it's gonna be interesting to see what Golden State does because apparently Clay ain't
Absolutely.
Clay ain't happy from what I've been hearing. So they can try to run it back as much as they want to, which I think would be a bad idea. But I mean, if I'm just being honest, like at the end of the day, right?
What's the
Like
point now?
yeah, like it's like what you said to the LeBron question, like what's the goal? It's like, well, if you run it back, what's your goal? And obviously, we all know how Joe Lacob is and how he's wired. It's not just we'll sell tickets. Like, no, that dude's trying to win championships. Like that's how he's wired.
Right.
So
Right.
but you ain't winning no championships just running that team back. I hate to say it, but you're not.
That ship has sailed. Like, this is why I said what I said 2 years ago, and I was like, that small ball, it worked while it could, and once a team caught it and they could diffuse it, and it was the Lakers that year, and I said right then, I said we just exploited now what most teams, if you pay attention to it, this is how you can beat them. Then the next
Mhm.
season, which was last year, they didn't even make the playoffs. So, you know, it's just they had a good run. And there's certain
Yeah.
things you just see coming down the line, and it's just like, hey man, nah, it's just not the
Well, I
same
mean,
anymore.
yeah, I mean, even more than that, I still am so curious, like, what that locker room dynamic is like. Because I mean, you talk about
I'm
2 years
with you.
ago,
I'm
like,
with
well,
you.
obviously that like I think it's one thing had the punch not happen, and then of course Jordan Poole's gone. You keep Draymond, and then you extend him, Clay, and then he had something to say about Clay. When Clay got extended after the ACL tear, like that's the thing. Obviously, I mean, as we all know, whether it's a friendship, relationship, whatever, you stick around with someone or some people long enough, something's gonna happen, right? Like there's gonna be
Right.
an ending to it one way or another. So that
Right.
like that's the thing for me too with all of this is like you have all these different egos in there, and like for the most part, right before everyone start getting paid and getting this and having certain legacies and their own identities, that's fine. You can work with it and deal with it, but yeah, ever since that whole Jordan Poole situation happened, um, like it's just been off. You know what I'm saying? Like that's been the thing for me. And of course, like with Steph getting older, I'm not gonna say he's old because like he's still balling. You got to have somebody else out there to like help you out. Like Andrew Wiggins is not what he was in that playoff run. No, not at all. Looney's tailed off. Um,
Got
you know,
paid.
yeah, like tailed off. Which I mean, again with Looney though, it's just crazy like his whole career arc because that ain't a dude that's supposed to be getting having 20 rebound games. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not supposed to happen.
That's
But
real.
um,
He did
but
it.
no, so yeah, he did. Like hats off to him. But
Yeah, he did it.
yeah, who like
Yeah.
who? I mean, who is that second option right now on the Warriors?
Good question.
I know it's technically
Question.
supposed to be Kaminga, at least like when you look at it in terms of like that extension, but who really
After
is it?
that,
I don't
you're
know.
right. After that, it's like, okay, then what?
Mm-hmm.
Then what? Because now, Carrot Top.
Talk about Pajemski. Also,
Let's not do that.
I know. I'm also
Let's
just
not
really
do.
interested to see what if Clay doesn't come back, and I don't think he will, but if he doesn't come back, what does that spacing now look like? If depending on who they get in free agency or whatever, that it's all going to look really really interesting. Also,
It's
Antoine
gonna
says they're
be
beating the 49ers twice this year. Um,
people never want ice water.
well, speaking of though, let's pivot to it because obviously I know that's another thing that's been out there. Brandon Ayuk
Mm-hmm.
and trade, I mean not trade talks, the contract extension talks with the Niners. Sounds like that price is going up to about 30 M's a year. Of course, we've seen some of the extensions already with the receiver market, which of course the longer you wait, the more expensive this whole thing gets, in my opinion. So, Rod, what we thinking? What we feeling on that?
I genuinely just feel like, man, just get the 30 mil out the way, man. It 29 and a half. I really think he'll sign, but I want to know how many years.
Mm-hmm.
That's my question behind it. Like, how many years does he want to be here, and what's his guarantee money? Because that's all that counts, really,
Yeah,
realistically. Like, how much we giving him? You know what I'm saying? What up, Marcus? What up to everybody in the
good
chat? Shout out
Marcus.
to y'all. Sorry, man. Forgive me, y'all. Just I'm high, but uh, I feel like when it comes to BA getting his to be the fourth option, putting up the numbers that he's put up, it's kind of hard to argue that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
if you equip do the numbers. If he was the number one target and you give him those
Absolutely.
opportunities, sky's the limit. So it, I hate when people bring up the dog. I shouldn't say I hate it, but people's opinions about it. You know, he was in the doghouse and all that other type of stuff. Yada yada, blip the blam. He still was an intricate part of the offense that was still needed.
100%.
Like I think people don't really pay attention to how dynamic of a blocker he is down the field. Like
Mhm.
that is such a huge piece and a key piece that even through all that, he still was doing that. He was still doing his job in that aspect. If you have a quarterback who, quite honestly, if we think about it, just couldn't get him the ball for every route that he could genuinely run, whose fault is that realistically? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And mine, it would be Kyle Shanahan. If you can't get the guy who can run the route tree the ball because of your quarterback who can't, he's inadequate, whose fault is that? That's your fault. You can't get him the rock the way that he should get the rock. But now you have a quarterback who can get him the ball, and then you see his numbers go up the way that they have, especially the last 2 years.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just feel like, in my opinion, I don't think 30 million is wrong for him now. And yes, I've had time to think about it because I'm like, BA just does stuff for our receiving core that you just can't ask for.
Yeah.
We knew about it from Pac 12 years. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So I just think that since he's come into the league, I've always been a BA fan, but now I honestly feel like he's worth it. What's your opinion on it?
So you know how in baseball they have like what's called like a five tool player, right? Hit for power, average, run,
Right.
throw, good fielder. BA to me is like the football version of a five tool player, right? Like if you had to
Absolutely.
if you had to think of like what five tools would you want to see in a receiver, he covers all of that. Is he worth 30 million a year? Yes. Like that's easy. But here's the question, and I think this is kind of where San Francisco is now. Now the thing is they can't afford
Yeah.
to wait.
Yeah. Mhm.
But
They
it's
put themselves behind this.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, they did.
Let's
But
be
here's the
real.
thing. Here's what I think that they're thinking, right? Because obviously they got the Purdy situation that's going to come up next year. I think like if you were to ask the 49ers, what is the perfect scenario? Let's wait to see this year because this is supposed to be the run it back year, right? And let's run it back one more time and see what happens. And it's like, okay, yeah, you know what? We really do have that guy in 13. We have this team that can go for a run for a few years. Let's go. Um, I think that's what their perfect scenario would be. Because then let's say if you don't have that guy, you still got to figure something else out. Then maybe paying 30 million a year isn't very idealistic. Um, but like I said, I just think regardless, either way you look at it, is I mean, you're gonna have to find some kind of way to pay that man. And I mean, let's look at it even from the future standpoint, right? Debo's probably not going to be there after this year, right?
Hello.
And then of course you got Christian. He just signed his extension, but Jawan Jennings, I think he has what 2 years now. But
Yes,
even
sir.
then,
Yes, sir.
he's still like he's a receiver three kind of guy. But then also you look at what they did in the draft. Like I still feel like what they did in the draft tells you a lot about what's about to happen, right? Getting Pearsall that early, and again they didn't have to. And then even some of the other receiving threats that they brought in, it's like y'all are that was really interesting to me and telling to me. So we'll see how that goes. But I really do think that's what San Francisco would want, right? Like you don't want to you wouldn't have to deal with this until next year too, because you have an idea of what's going on or how's this the next 5 years
Hmm.
or whatever is going to play out.
This was the situation that I was looking at, and I was saying, it's gonna come back to bite us in the ass. It's just, how was it gonna be done? Now
Mm-hmm.
we learning it the hard, the hard way right now. It's just this running it back season and all that. I'm not trying to get my hopes up high. I'm really not, because I've seen that 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 2021 season, like right after we lost in 19 or whatever 20. Um,
The year after the Super Bowl, the
yeah,
first Kansas City one.
yeah, that was we played the Jets week 2. Solomon Thomas tears his ACL. Bosa tears his ACL.
Good things don't
Same
happen in
game.
that life.
Absolutely. 2 games, boom. Or 2 players in 1 game, boom. Like
Hmm.
that. And of all places on the line, I was like, oh yeah, this is a wrap. Then everybody just started going down the line. Now, to think that we're going to run it back and have the same type of health
Yeah.
go our way for 2 years straight when these guys are getting older, not younger. Like they're technically, yes, in their prime, but the latter part of the prime now. It's gonna be scary. It's gonna
But
be
that's the thing
scary.
too. I think in some spots, right, you are past that prime. Like, well, I can't say Trent Williams is past his prime because Trent Williams is still the best left tackle in the league. But how many times have we seen it now? It's been like what, 2 years in a row. Dude gets an ankle sprain and that ankle doesn't heal as fast as it used to, right? Um,
Hello.
so like it's the guys like that, right? Where it's, this is the end of that window. Now you do have some younger players that are still, really good, and they will be
Right.
good for a while, but you're like the Super Bowl window and things like that. I'm not looking at it in terms of the Brock Purdy contract or the Brandon AIYUK contract or things like that. I'm looking at it as, what's Trent Williams? How long is he going to be Trent Williams S? I'm like, even with throwback saying, to a standpoint, like you saw, like he started to taper off a little bit towards the end. Again, that's a long season for someone
Mm-hmm.
pushing 40 to be playing the left tackle. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the question that you really got to look at. It's like guys like him. It's like, all right, how long is that window going to be? Kittle's starting to get older
He
too. I mean, like that's what I'm saying.
I'm with you. Trent Williams never gets a week off. There's never an easy week for a left tackle. You can't
No,
just be like, oh, yeah, he's going into this week and we're playing against, you know, this team. There's no weak, ones in that one. So it's just disagree all you want. I mean, what is the disagree with though? That's my question. I
that's what I'm
just
saying. Like,
I just think it's just legit, just facts that are put out there, not anything that we haven't seen and we're just creating out of thin air. I just look, man. You only got a couple more years. Y'all brought up Kittle.
mhm.
Kittle, and man, them knees is only so long. I've always thought Kittle runs like his feet just hurt. You know what I mean? Like you just see certain people that just aren't fluid runners, and I'm just like, are y'all really getting these other guys? The guys that are behind him, Latu's and Braden. Like, are you getting those guys up to par? You're not going to be the same blockers, Kittle. That's just not going
No.
to happen. But the rest of it, you can produce. You know what I'm saying? The catching and all that other type of stuff. So
Mhm.
that just it just makes me wonder, like, what is the thing behind it now that we're trying to get to? Because I really genuinely think this is Kittle's last year as well as a Niner. But
Mm.
we'll see as far as that also. I think he'll be part of the cap casualty. Hey, we got to get rid of you, or you gonna resign for something less. I just don't see Kittle being that dude. He can go make his money somewhere else.
It's one of those things of just like too that's what's so interesting. Like this is the first year where you saw a lot of those, locker room leader guys, right? Either they left or they started asking for money. You know what I'm saying? Like use check. It was this whole situation getting money. Kittle asked for it. Of course, Armstead left. So that's the other part of this. And of course, like there's been the Debo situation for a few years now. Like, is he staying? We trading him, yada yada yada. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that I know we just talked about, whole locker room situation and what's that like, with the Warriors. I just wonder what that looks like too with San Francisco. Because now you got some more people that are holding out, right? When's AIYUK going to show up if he does not get this deal done before training camp? Which we all know the Niners usually in the situation don't get deals done before the start of training camp, right?
Which
Like,
makes no sense. Like,
yeah,
let's
I
just
mean,
break that down. Like, why do y'all like doing this same type of thing? And people love to say that's just the way that we love doing it. And I'm like, well, why not change it? It ain't been working.
right.
Why not change that whole scenario and that whole that look, that mystique that's on the year for that person that goes in? Why not change this whole situation? Hey, bro, we try and get this done and out the way ASAP. We need you in right now so you can go on and you can be on the same page with Brock going into this season. Why do y'all want it to be now where we got to figure this all out again? We got to pump up Ricky Pearsall to make it seem like he's about to be the next coming of something, and he
Uh-huh.
ain't even stepped on the field. Like, hold up, just hold off. Jimmy Neutron is not about to walk in there and just be the man, of them all to save everybody. Let's just relax, man. Y'all, we need BA more than I really think that people are paying attention to. I
Oh,
think people
100%.
don't understand, how I feel like when it comes to this offense going into the year, going into what to expect, they don't know what to expect. Come on, man. Y'all need that type of leadership that BA brings. Regardless of the captain tag that was put on Debo last year for what reason I don't know. But maybe I don't know. But BA you need BA. You need BA.
And I think that's a no brainer, right? Like, you need them, especially like you look at what's going on in the NFC right now. Um, you know, Green Bay Green Bay was, I think, the youngest team in the league last year, or one of the
Yep.
youngest teams in the league. So they're gonna be back. Um, I think that, obviously Detroit they're just starting this window, however long the window is going to be, but they're just starting it. Hopefully, and I'm not saying that we're gonna win a Super Bowl, but we can be good enough to spoil someone else's Super Bowl run if this whole quarterback situation plays out the way I think that it's supposed to. The Rams are going to be better. Seattle's going to take a little time, but again, they can play spoiler with somebody. Who else am I leaving out? Dallas is going to be Dallas. The more long story short is like now you have some of these teams that have that experience of being right there and close to knocking some guys up. Yeah, thank you, Philly as well. Because like the Packers were up, the Lions were up. They both now are hungry to try to get back, right, and make things happen. So it's not getting easier for San Francisco. If anything, it's harder. So, and that's the thing, throwback. You can't sleep on them anymore. They're here. I don't know. I hope
Facts.
nobody is sleeping on the Lions at this point. If you
Facts.
did
We
last year,
said that last year though. That's why
yeah.
I'm like, we called it out last year when we said it. I said, look, man, Detroit gonna be there. Who do we play in the NFC Championship? Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no
And
fluke for no reason.
and again, Detroit was, like I said, for most of that game. You take away, maybe it was, I think, 2 drops by oh my goodness, what was his name? Was it
He ain't on the
Reynolds?
team no more. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you go back to that game, you take away 2 drops, and of course there's a great play that BA made on the underthrown ball. The Lions in the Super Bowl. So
It's a lot of things that could have changed, that could have been different.
uh-huh. So yeah, I mean that's what I'm like. I mean, I've already said it. The Lions are my pick to be out the NFC this year. That's who I'm gonna rock with. But so yeah, I mean that's the thing though, is you can play this waiting game all you want. but you need Brandon Ayuk. And I know like
You
it's a
need
question too.
him.
Like, yeah, you need him.
Need
You're
him,
not
bro.
replacing
Like
that. You're not replacing
you
that.
cannot replace. People just seem to, if we lose Debo, then all the attention goes to BA. He can handle this. That's my thing. Like, man, BA is just different. BA is a true wide receiver. Debo is that elect. Debo is like the. I don't know if you remember this guy, but remember Peter Ward from Florida State
Yeah,
years ago?
yeah.
He's that dude. You know, he gets the ball in his hands, regardless of where he is on the field. You just hope he doesn't. You don't know what could happen. But then the
He's like
injury
what Percy
prone and
Harvin
all
was.
that. Absolutely.
But
Just more
that's the
physical.
comparison. Yeah, well, he's a little bigger,
Right.
but yeah, because Percy was that kind of guy too, right? It's just I can line him up wherever. I'm not going to call him like a true straight up like wide receiver route runner, but all I got to do is find a
Right.
way to get the ball in his hands, and he's going to make
That's
something happen.
it. You're gonna make
That's
something
what he
happen.
was. Yeah. So
But when you need that actual receiver who can run the route tree, who can get the ball, who can get himself open like that, you're not going to count on Debo to do that. You would, in my opinion, that's just, I don't
and
speak for
it
the,
ain't just
I
yours.
would do that. Yeah, I would do that with BA 9 days out of
100%.
10, maybe 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would count him, in that situation or in those scenarios. But Kyle, as far as adjusting and understanding what he needs to do to be a better coach, look at his draft. Look how we drafted linemen when that was a priority. We went after receiver in the first round. Y'all can keep making excuses for the ones that want to. Hey man, it is what it is. You have what you have, and you gave him the extension. So he's gonna be here for a minute. It is what it is right now. Hopefully it works out.
I mean, it goes back to that whole idea and thought process again. It's like, what would you rather have? You come up short all these times, like just short, or not be there at all, right? Like that. I mean, in the end of the day, that's kind of like what it is for. That's what it is for San Francisco. You know, like every single year, you're going to be top two, top three betting on favorites to win. Well, top two favorites, I'd say, to win the NFC, and then a top three favorite probably to win it all. We know that as long as Kyle Shanahan is there. But outside of that, it's the fact of you can see a lot of things that is with Kyle Shanahan's coaching or like game management, however you want to call it. That is the reason why you only go get close. You know, like you can always
Bingo.
point to certain things in each Super Bowl or in certain big games where it's just like we've seen that before, Kyle. That's the same mistake that you made in this game, or it's the same mistake you made in that game. And then, of course, there's a whole question of did you not know what the new overtime rules were, right? Like, and that's not even just me sitting here saying that. Yeah, people on the Chiefs saying that, right? Like they didn't know the rules. So that like
Genuinely didn't know the rules. That's crazy.
you know what I'm saying. So like that's why for
That's
me
arrogant.
it's just like yeah, like are you thinking it's not going to get there or like what?
Thank
How do you
you.
not know that?
That's legit arrogance to me. Like for you to even think that way, okay, I have no problem with you being confident in your play calling. Gail, what's going on? I can understand you being confident in your play calling all you want to be, but just to assume like, oh yeah, we know we ain't getting there. We're not even tripping off of it like that. That's arrogant. Like that team gets paid to stop you as well. And for you to
Mm-hmm.
think that the game is going to be played or you can just move on with no ifs, ands, or buzz behind it, hey, we got what we deserve. That's why I can't be mad and people can make the excuses. I just can't. Sorry.
I like it would be different if not even just me. I'm saying like anybody out there who watches, has been watching the game, studies the game, like, hey, you know what? You can't put this one on Kyle. He called a hell of a game. He put everyone in this perfect situations every time. Like if you do that, cool. Then you can't put it on them. Obviously, there are a lot of times where coaches, I can't put it on coaches, right? But in these big 49ers losses, in a lot of situations, I can. And of course,
Oh,
a lot of it is similar to what I saw when he was in Atlanta. And I know people were like, "Oh, that's not on him. He wasn't the head coach. That was Dan Quinn's fault." Again, I'm not giving Dan Quinn a free pass on what happened in that game, but how is it that the same thing that I saw and some of the problems that I saw in that game on offense is exactly what I'm seeing what's happening the last few years in San Francisco? Dan Quinn ain't in San
absolutely.
Francisco.
Not too many adjustments that have happened. Not too many. And then you come out still running the same things in the third quarter. Pass, 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 pass. Get an interception. Defense gets you the ball back, and you pass, 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 pass again. And it's like, yo, this man. I don't know for the life of me what he sees, and I don't know. I don't know. Like it sucks as being a fan when most fans are yelling at the TV to run the ball.
Especially we got that
Everybody
23 guy. I heard he's pretty good.
just a little bit just
Yeah.
became, offensive player of the year that year for maybe the whole season. But what doesn't matter when you get to the Super Bowl? What difference does it make to even have him anymore? Like he fumbled once, he might fumble again. Guess what? He might actually score again.
I'm getting him that rock every time. Every time. Oh
I,
yeah, by the way, only one school has produced two Madden cover athletes. I just wanted to put that out there. Anyway, carry on. I just had to say that.
oh man, I'm let him have that one tonight. Let him have this one tonight. This is so not worth it
I
right now.
mean,
I'm
I
just
mean, we.
just
I
gonna
just
leave it
say it.
alone.
It's true. It's true. We are. But Throwback, to answer your question, mostly Braylon Trice, pass rusher out of Washington. Because obviously, if you've paid attention to any Falcon stuff the last few years, well, not last few years, it's been like 10 years since John Abraham was on the team. We have desperately needed a pass rusher, an outside pass rusher. So he's the guy that I'm most looking forward to.
I feel you. Um,
Yeah. Will BP take steps forward or stay where he's at? I mean, if he stays where he is, that's
there's
fine.
nothing bad with that either. Yeah, like
Yeah.
his numbers were still phenomenal. Like Brock Purdy didn't have a bad season.
Not at all.
Regardless of what people, I don't know if people are looking at it this past like you do. People do know that Brock hasn't had a bad season yet. Like I don't know if you're still waiting for him to regress for what. I mean, he doesn't have to do the most spectaculars every
Hmm.
single play. He's not being put in that position, thankfully. You know, um, he's just doing his job.
Yeah, but here,
That's
here
it's just that
here's the
simple.
question. Yeah, no, here's the question with him though, and this is what everyone's gonna want to see. What do you do when it's playoff time? Does that like once you have a good regular season, it's like to your point, he has. Um, it's
It's
all
not a
right now.
sophomore
Now
slump.
I'm saying the sophomore, the sophomore.
It's not a sophomore slump though. This will be his technically his third year
Right,
as a starter. So he's not even a sophomore in the situation.
right. But I mean, like, because we've all rewatched the games or seen the tape or seen breakdowns of it. No, I know you do. That's why I didn't say it's time for the spelling bee. I didn't say it. But um, but we all saw the could have been interceptions against Green Bay right in that first game. Then of course there was the first half performance against Detroit. And then there was the performance in the Super Bowl, and it wasn't even bad in the Super Bowl. It just wasn't. It was okay. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of so that like that's kind of where it is with Brock. It's like, all right, dude, like yeah, you were in the MVP race, right there with your teammate Chris was C-Mac. And then but the dude that I saw in the postseason wasn't the same guy that I saw for the majority of the regular season. So that's kind of been that I think if there's anything for him, that's the only question now that he has left. Is like, all right, when it's time to put all the chips in the table, who in the middle of the table, who's that guy I'm gonna see? That's the only
Right.
question left that I have for him right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. That's the main thing. Brock and there might be a couple of late game because he's shown you everything.
Yeah.
He's come, come what had to come from behind, pause, winner. You know what I'm saying? Like he's done that. So you can't be like, I wonder how he does. He did that in the NFC Championship game
Yep.
against the Lions. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like what we've asked Brock to do, he's delivered. The only portion that he has not delivered on is winning the Super Bowl. I feel that still wasn't even on him this past season to win it all. I feel like if his head coach puts him in the position to succeed in the second half, we don't have these issues. But
Yeah, it's also, I mean, you don't want to have to be, you don't want to be in the position to have to make those plays and be successful in the second half, right? Like,
right.
let's make it consistent because again, those first halves of those playoff games were not good. Let's
Not at
call it spade
all.
a spade. So,
Facts.
so it's like it's like okay, yeah, you might be in that situation in the second half, but a lot of that is because Rob Purdy put himself in that situation. So that's what I'm saying. Like, all right, that's if you have to ask. I mean, if there is a question left, that's what it would be for Brock.
Right. But Kyle doesn't call those run plays. Like I said, Kyle gets conservative. I, I think we're saying arguably the same thing. I hope. I would just love for Kyle to understand what truly he has in the team, like within the team. Like if the run game is the best in the league, stick with the run game.
Mm-hmm.
Why go away from what works? I just for the life of me don't understand that part. But
Where have I seen
the
that
the
before?
yeah, I saw it here. I saw it the same year when it all went down. I saw it the years before with him, and then it was like, what makes y'all think that now he has learned his lesson by getting different players in the draft? Still the same philosophies.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, throwback to your point though. You say you want Jake Brendel gone. My only question then is who's going to replace him? And this is, but again, this kind of goes back to the whole point of how the draft went. Now, I know y'all got that guy out of Kansas who I think he's going to be a pretty
Pune,
solid player.
Pune,
Yeah,
whatever. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Pony. I think that's his last name. He's going to be a solid player, but that means that you be having a rookie right there in the middle of the
Right,
line. So
right.
it's who would you want to replace him? It's I think that's there's certain positions, right, especially on this Niners team, where it's like, okay, you want this person gone because you think so and so can play it. Cool, got it, right? But right now up front, that's not the situation. That's
It's
not
not.
the reality.
It's not. I agree. I agree. I don't. I think I've said the idea is. I think we both been saying it though. Throwback, like just run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand what has been so difficult about running the ball. Like, okay, you see a certain defense come out and we got something that will get something going for us. Run the ball. That I feel like it just opens up so much more when the ball is being ran, especially going into the latter parts of the game where now it's time to just, you know, we're just going to just be physical in that
Yeah.
aspect, and we just go to light skinned ways, and we have the turnouts that we have.
Yeah, you gotta
We,
find. I mean, you wear teams down throughout the game for a reason, and then you don't take advantage of it though.
yeah, but then we also have to find the scapegoats and blame it on the, defensive coordinators who, not only is it his first year coming in, you know, he has still arguably one of the best seasons when taking over a defense, but because of a couple of guys not genuinely liking his defensive ways, they still put up the numbers that they put up. Yet it's his fault. They gave up less points, but it's still his fault. Just gotta find other reasons.
All I know is that defense this year better be humming. And I'm sure it will be. Like they have
Boy,
all these guys, but it
it
better be
better
humming.
be it better be Slick Ravens 99
2000.
2000.
Uh-huh.
Like it better be flying around this field. I bet, man, cause boy, for y'all
Yeah.
to use what y'all used as an issue,
Mm-hmm.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Bosa better have 25 sacks this season. Warner better have 10 interceptions and 175 tackles this season. All of them unassisted. None. You better not have a reason to have. You better not miss a tackle. You better not be out of energy. Cause boy,
Because I mean, but like not even just for the whole the Steve Wilkes portion of it, because that obviously that's mainly what I'm talking about. But if it doesn't look a certain way, we all know Kyle is not afraid to voice his input on the defensive side of the ball. Who's
yes,
really going to be calling plays on defense if this doesn't go right? Like I know you got the new DC, but you brought in Brandon Staley, and look, if you were a head coach in the NFL, you don't just sit idly by, right? And something goes wrong. No, you're going to want to have your say so when your input
your
and
input.
things.
Yep.
So that's why I'm still intrigued as to how that whole dynamic is going to go. Especially, like I said, if it is the situation you're by the middle of the year
Barbershop talk.
and what's good, fellas? Yeah, you get to the middle of the year and that defense isn't looking the way you want it to look. What happens there? You know,
Yep.
I'm interested to see how that goes.
Yep. I really want to see now this season more if Bosa doesn't have the type of season of double digit sacks, what the excuse will be.
And I mean, it's not he can get double digits in his sleep. It's like you got to be around that 20 mark though, like you said. 17 game regular season, you got to be
15.
around
You
20.
gotta, yeah, you gotta be at least 15 or better. Like
Yeah.
you had 10, I think 10 and a half or something like that. But regardless of how people want, he played every game this season.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't miss one game. It was, yes, he signed right before game one, the whole I get all that. You were still there. And if you can do that with just that much time, you was here all off season and Bosa's here this year early and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing because he didn't have that same quote unquote help on the other side when he got those 19 and a half sacks. So miss me with that.
But
That's all
that's
I'm
the other
saying.
part too. Is more there's more on him. I mean, Hargrave's still there, but you're missing Armstead, right? Like Armstead's not there anymore. And I'm not even talking about just numbers wise. What Armstead can do in terms of gathering attention or running the stunts that they do, that's going to be missed, right? So who's going to be that person that steps on the inside? Obviously, Leonard Floyd's on the other side now, so you do have that, but at
Got
least
Collins,
yeah. So,
the guy
but I
from the
mean,
Texans. I don't even know what he's like.
solid player, but I mean, in terms of, I guess I'm looking at like those. upper echelon rushers that are on the team currently, right? Like
Mhm.
obviously
Right.
Bosa, Hargrave inside, and then of course Leonard Floyd on the other side. There's more on your plate this year, in my opinion, because one of those leaders is gone in the interior. So if I'm guessing, a lot of protections are going to have the center sliding over to Hargrave so they can double him. Then on the outside, whether you're going to get some chips or whatever happens there, there's more on your plate this year, Nick Bosa, and they pay you to eat off of that plate. So we'll see how that goes.
That's the part that I'm so nervous about. It's just which type of defense is going to be there. And I think Greenlaw being out of there as well, him being hurt, him not being, I don't think he'll be there. People are saying he'll be ready for week 1.
No,
I don't see that happening.
hey,
What's the
throwback.
point of
Leonard
rushing
Floyd's a
back?
good player. Floyd's a good player. Like,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
don't
he's
get it
definitely a
twisted.
good
Good
player.
player.
Yeah. But I just don't see the point of rushing back. Now, granted, I know Ken Law is up for a contract extension. I know how those guys do it, and I know behind the scenes how they try and get people. I just don't see him being that productive this season. So now my thing is who steps up in his position
Hmm.
as the weak side for the 49ers, and how much is being put on Warner this season to try and cover up what's in there. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know about this one. That's why when people are talking about running it back, you do know that we're about what 3 to 4 starters are missing. Free safety. Granted, we're getting Hufanga back. Don't know if Hufanga will be healthy week 1.
Yeah, I
We
was gonna
don't know
say we got
which
to see how
type of
that
Hufanga you're getting back. Right.
exactly. Yeah.
So Gibson's not there. Greenlaw's not there. Armstead's not there. So that's 3 starters. And we're talking about running it back. So these aren't just you just pull these guys and plug them in and we just get it going. Like, oh no. These are key pieces, key
Yeah.
guys and in
Hmm.
in all 3 levels. So this is going to be interesting this season. And that's the part that I'm really concerned with, is that while people are saying we're just going to run it back and we're going to be good, the season doesn't move me this year. It's the playoffs. It's like,
100%.
all right, what are y'all really about? Because hey, y'all gonna make the playoffs in your sleep. You can make the wild card,
Especially with an extra playoff slot now.
right? So I don't know. This is just gonna be different this season. I say it that way.
Yeah.
Definitely different.
Yeah. No, we'll see how it goes. But look, before we wrap up and head out of here, because I know we hadn't had a show since this happened. First and foremost, rest in peace to the legend Willie Mays. I know
Absolutely.
you have your jersey. Willie Mays, to me, obviously I didn't see him play, but in terms of like reverence and respect that I
Neither
have,
one of us did.
yeah, but like he's right up there with me in terms of like how I view Hank Aaron. And of course, if y'all know me, I'm a huge Hank Aaron fan, supporter, you name it, right? Like he's that guy for me in terms of just how he carried himself, knowing what he had to deal with. Of course, like when it was then Babe Ruth's record, all the hate mail, death threats that he got as being a black man going after that record. But there's a humanitarian Hank Aaron, there's a baseball player Hank Aaron, and of course Willie Mays is right there in that same regard too. So, and I know they had the Rick Wood Classic right back in his hometown in Birmingham where he first played. Also, shout out Bob Kendrick, who's the president of the Negro League Museum in Kansas City. I got to get down there because he tells amazing stories. He had some really good ones about Willie Mays and Satchel Paige and things like that. So, rest in peace to Willie Mays. Obviously, he passed, I think it was 93. So,
Yeah.
incredible life. And yeah, man, it's you can just feel how his like he's still living, right? Just the way everyone talks about him, everyone reveres him, respects him. So yes, wanted to say that, and then also, of course, to all you like production people, I guess is the best way I'll put it. Y'all gonna learn like all this stuff ain't sweet, right? You can't romanticize everything the way you want to, and this is what I'm talking about. So Reggie Jackson, right? They ask him a question of like, oh, yeah, we know you played here. What's it
Yeah.
like being back? They're expecting this. Oh, so good to be back. I'm thinking about all the memories. Dude straight up told you, like, no, this sucks. Because I
This
remember
shit
the
was
treatment that I had.
trash.
Yeah, like I remember the treatment
Yeah.
I had when I was here. So, and like I even called into the morning roast this morning. I was like, I remember this was a few years ago when the late great Congressman John Lewis was still with us, and CNN did this feature where they took him back to a diner where he did a sit-in, when he was younger, and he burst into tears. Because it's like remembering all that vitriol and anger and hate that was thrown towards him, and I'm just sitting here like, what did y'all think? It's almost like
Yep.
by having
Y'all
like, what
really
did you
don't
think he was
know
going to say? Either you don't know or you're you that naive to think that
that
everything was just going to be so nice.
that it's the arrogance
Yeah.
of that. It's the arrogance of thinking that they're not going to talk about that. They're not going. They better bring up the good stuff of what we allowed them to do. That's what
Hmm.
they still have that mindset of. They think that all black people that we're gonna walk in here, we're gonna tell our good side of what the man did for us. And it's like,
Hmm.
nah, nah, nah. Let me set the record straight on how it really was. Before, if y'all want to ask me, I guarantee this is gonna be very far and few y'all want to ever talk to me now because y'all about to get this real uncut truth. Now watch Reggie
Right.
Jackson get out there and be on a lot of podcasts because people want to know the real deal about what
Hmm.
really went on back in those days. Watch,
Hmm.
watch, watch your greats start coming out with, oh
Hmm.
man, y'all gonna hear some dark stories about some of y'all grandfathers and your grandmas out here who was selling the white only pies out here and was doing you know what that was
Yep.
wrong out here. It's just real shit. Y'all just really ain't prepared for it. Y'all ask about history, but don't really want to give that truth about the history of this country. And it is what it is. It'll come out in its
Hmm.
own natural way. It's gonna
That's
come
how
out
that's how it always.
because y'all
Well, I
been
mean,
asking
and that's
for it
like
this way.
right. I mean, to your point, that's what happened last week. It came out in its own natural way, right? Because again, Reggie said it. Now, obviously, I know a lot of the Negro League players who were the big names. They're no longer with us, but there's still some people that have some stories and have some recollections of some things that went down,
What
or
up,
they've heard
Shell?
it secondhand. What's up, Shell? So yeah, don't be surprised. Like, yeah, they might say like, oh, I love my teammates and all that because they probably did, but in terms
Right,
of what
right,
they
right, right.
experienced and realized, life outside of that. I mean, because Reggie even said it, right? Say, if I didn't have my white teammates or a white manager, I probably would have been hanging from an oak tree because I would have fought somebody. Like like that's the straight up honest truth. And I thought it was so interesting because when he was saying that, I think like some of the guys started laughing because it's like, oh, y'all don't realize what he's saying.
Y'all
Like
really don't
like
even
this
know
this
like
this
what's
ain't
really being talked about.
yeah. Like
Real
I
talk, bro.
felt yeah, like I felt awkward when I saw them laughing about it. I'm like, no, y'all ain't getting this. Like we all know Reggie Jackson is Mr. October and all this and that. He's telling you there was almost no Mr. October, and it's not because he did anything, it's just because he was black. Like
Just because he was black,
that's
man.
it. That's it.
Do you know? Can you think about this? This is the thing that I don't think. Nah, I'm just gonna say because this is our show, this is our platform. I'm gonna finally say it, and I think it's been. You kind of know where I'm going, but if you think about I'll just use Larry Bird.
Hmm.
Larry Bird didn't have to deal with racism. You didn't have to deal with that. You didn't have to deal with going somewhere and somebody genuinely treating you for your color wrong and you having not to be fed, not or you can't use the bathroom, you can't get a,
Hmm.
a, a drink of water or whatever. You've never even fathomed that. And so when I think of our greats and if this is true, then definitely, hey Auntie Debbie, then shout out to him. But shout out to Will Chamberlain, because I hope he fucked a lot of white women out there too, because I would have been doing that shit too if I was his damn age. Because I know damn well, man, for him to be screwed over the way that he was and everything, and the rest of our brothers and sisters was, I, hey man, I'd have been screwing them too out there, dirty. Oh, you want me? Yeah, I want you too for the night. And after it's all said and done, you can go about your merry way too.
You know what's so
That's
interesting?
just, man, some bullshit.
You know what's so interesting about, because you mentioned Larry Bird, like in a weird roundabout way, Larry dealt with the racism, but he dealt with it on the other side of things, right? Like he dealt with it in a way of like how Caitlin Clark has to deal with it now, because you are the white face, you're the white marketable one. We're gonna hype you up, and you are going to be in the middle of everything that we push out there, everything that we're going to talk about, because you're going to be that person, right? Because obviously, as we know, Larry was him versus Magic. All right, black people got their guy, white people we got ours, right? The hick from French Lick. Where it's just like, and if you know Larry Bird, he's like, I don't care about this. I just want to play basketball. Why I got to be that? Let's just let me hoop. That like if you know Larry, that's how Larry Bird is, and Caitlin's the same way. But again, that's like I said, obviously they don't have to deal with the nastiness of it, right? Of like the hate mail, the death threats, people burning crosses in the front lawn. I mean, listen to what Bill Russell had to deal with while he was a Boston Celtic, right? But it's just so crazy how for a select group, y'all so quick to find that one, the white voice, the white hero that's gonna lead everything to the promised land, and that's just how it goes.
That shit getting old. That shit's getting real old because they're starting to run out of people that they can run to with this narrative that they want to continue holding, and that shit's getting real old. Now,
Real
Shell, you
fast.
said the thing about Emmett Till and everything like that. Imagine how many more Emmett Tills that there
Mm-hmm.
are that haven't been documented or spoken on.
Mm-hmm.
That have had that done well before him, after him. He was just one that got his story actually told.
Because his
So you
mom
can
wanted
only
to be told.
because his mom wanted his to be out there in the open. Can you
Yep.
imagine how many others if that would have been said or done in that aspect? Man, and then that Jack Johnson stuff from what we're told and everything. Nobody wanted to. Don't you wasn't messing with that dude. You wasn't messing with him. Man, I hurt you. Hey, it's I I I can't fathom. Legitly, I cannot fathom walking in somewhere, somebody saying like literally just cussing at you for your own color, and you have to restrain yourself.
You just gotta take it.
You just gotta take that, then turn around. You making probably 15 times more money than they'll ever, but you gotta take whatever that they said or have in some aspects have done to you, and then you got to go out there and then perform at
Mm-hmm.
the top of your game, night in and night out, not even knowing once you walk off that floor. You ain't even got to walk off the floor. Imagine what's being yelled to you from stands and
Mm-hmm.
you walking, up under the tunnel and somebody throwing something on you, pee and all that weird, like, and nobody gonna be like, oh, he's the one that did it. You got the whole
No.
crowd against you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that stuff, I can't even. I appreciate my ancestors. I
Yes.
genuinely do. Like that's just wow. You know what I mean? Because if they could see it from our point of view of how good we have it now versus what they had to endure, man, it's just crazy.
And by the way, for those of you that wear some of those corny shirts, listen again to what Reggie Jackson had to say, and then put that shirt. Try to put that shirt on again about, hey, I'm not my ancestors. Try it. Try it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But no, man, I'm happy we got to have this conversation. Like I said, I know we didn't have a show last week because the finals are still
Right.
going on, but
Yeah.
definitely something I wanted to address. And what what I felt like we should have a conversation about. So I'm glad we could talk about it.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man. A whole bunch of shit that be going on out here, and then
Hmm.
I don't know. I just tell people, man, just each and every day, keep your head on the swivel. You do what your mind and your body says feels right. That's all you can do, man.
That's pretty much it. But no, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Everyone that's played a part, commented on it. Make sure if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, tell a friend. And no, man, it's been a great episode. Rod, appreciate you as always. And
Absolutely. Oh, one more thing.
oh
One more
yeah,
thing. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. I'm back. I'll be playing some
ooh,
music, 7 p.m. I'm gonna do a hip hop set tomorrow. I need to get some hip hop off of me. Pause. 7 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific, hip hop, Tuesday. See
y'all
what we
make sure
go
to
with.
tap in.
I'm out
Y'all
in
make
three
sure to tap
strikes.
in. All right, y'all.